It's an incredible schus to stand here at the beginning of a new Zman. It's been an incredible schus to be back for me in yeshiva after learning this Beis Medrash for so many years, for being away for so many years. It's such a privilege to be back. I wanted to discuss tonight one nekuda, one area where I think we could all grow. It's something that certainly existed when I was here in yeshiva. It's something that I assume still exists in our Beis Medrash, because it's something that I think you'll encounter anywhere you go. And it's something that if we work on together, I believe can set us up for an incredible Zman, and I think it could be life-changing. I want to discuss the tendency to focus on and talk about what's wrong in a given situation, the tendency to assume that things would be better somewhere else, how that tendency can stifle personal growth and create a negative energy that brings other people down. We read in Parshas Noach, "Vayar Elokim es haaretz v'hinei nishchasa, ki yishchis kol basar es darko al haaretz." And there's a Rashi, one of those peculiar Rashis, which begs for explanation. Says Rashi, "Ki yishchis kol basar, afilu behema chaya v'of niskaken l'she'en aminan." The land became so corrupt that not only were the people corrupt, but the animals were acting immorally as well. There's an incredible Beis HaLevi who asked the obvious. Bishlam, a man who's a Baal Bechira, he could act immorally. But what does it mean that an animal who has no Bechira acted immorally? The monkeys were marrying the elephants? Who cares? And what can we learn from such a bizarre fact? The Beis HaLevi answers with a powerful insight. When a person acts, he doesn't just impact himself. When a person acts with taiva, for example, it introduces a koach of taiva into the Welt. And that koach is felt, and it spreads, and it affects others. In the days of Noach, the world was so filled with taiva that the koach of Tumah, it spread not just to humans, it was so tangible that it even impacted the behavior of the animals to a degree that they were niskaken l'she'en aminan. The Beis HaLevi adds that it's not just true for taiva, it's true for other negative midos as well, for any negative midah. We could feel them in the air. We could be affected by them. The Gemara in Pesachim on Daf Gimel says, Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, La'olam al yotzi adam davar megunam bipiv, shari ikam al kasav shmona osios, v'lohotzi davar megunam bipiv, shenamar bin habehema ha-tahora, ubin habehema asher einana tahora. Says the Gemara, why did the Torah waste 8 letters and say asher einana tahora instead of hatimeya? The Gemara tells us it was to teach us that we should speak positively. Don't say tmeya, speak positively. Say einana tahora, 8 letters. The Gemara on Daf Gimel and Beis continues, says it's not just a small little thing. Says the Gemara, Hanu trei talmidei dehavu yasvi kamei dehillel. One opinion was that it was Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Chadamar b'bnei ma botrim b'tahara v'ein moskim b'tahara. One said, why do we harvest b'tahara and not harvest and ein moskim b'tahara? V'chadamar b'bnei ma botrim b'tahara u'moskim b'tumah. Amar muftach ani bezeh shemora hora b'Yisrael. The one who said ein botzin b'tahara was muftach that he would be mora hora b'Yisrael. V'lahayu yamin muatim acha hora b'Yisrael. Speaking positively and not negatively wasn't just something cute. It was a sign that he was destined for greatness. Just by speaking positively, by being careful how we speak. Why does the Torah teach us this lesson here? Why right before Noach went into the Teva does he need to hear this message? I believe that it was to teach us that negativity spreads. Noach was leaving a world where negativity spread to such a degree that the animals were affected. And so Hashem says, enter the teva, Noach, come on in. But recognize that the way that you act, even the way you talk, it affects everybody around you. What the Beis HaLevi says is true for taiva, it's true for being negative, it's true for talking negatively. When I needlessly complain about a given situation or a problem, it could bring me down, but it can affect everybody around me to the point that there's negativity in the air. When I obsessively talk about what's wrong instead of what's right, when I talk about only what's broken, it's felt by everybody. And it spreads. And our entire environment can become a negative one. That needed to be kept out of the teva. Don't bring it in. We recently finished saying vidui over and over again. And when we recite vidui, we do it in an interesting way. We say it in the plural. We say Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu. Why do we talk about others? Why is it we sinned? I sinned. Why am I bringing others into this? The answer is because when we sin together. Because when I do something wrong, the koach that it creates, it spreads. And it affects everybody around me. When I continuously focus on what's wrong, on problems, it spreads. It blocks others from seeing what's so good. Please don't get me wrong. First, I'm talking to myself. I personally fight a tendency to see the negative in things, but I also strive to be a problem solver. Be a problem solver. Look for solutions. Assume best intentions and make recommendations and suggestions. Bring me your suggestions. Let's make things greater. Let's do it. And of course, if you have a problem, talk to your Rebbe, talk to a mashgiach, talk to a friend, and people need to vent. But be careful to not allow your desire to fix things, which comes from such a good place. Don't let that turn into negativity that stifles your growth and brings you down and spreads to others. I recently had a thought. From when we were young, we know a lot about Noach. Even before the song, we knew that he was a big tzaddik. But if you think about it, we don't really hear from Noach. We almost don't hear him say anything. At least not until the very end of his life. Wouldn't you want to hear from Noach, hear what he had to say? How is he able to be a tzaddik in such a generation? How did he deal with the arduous task of building a teva for 120 years? How did he react to his world being destroyed? What do they talk about in the teva around the dinner table? Maybe that's the point. We don't hear from Noach. Because if anybody could have complained about his lot, it was Noach. Hashem, why did you put me in this generation? I'm surrounded by Rishaim. I have to be a construction man? I have to be a zookeeper? I'm a tzaddik. I just want to sit and learn. We don't hear Noach talking because there are so many wrong things for him to talk about. We just see Noach doing. Build a teva, Noach. He builds. Go into the teva. He goes into the teva. Be a zookeeper for a year. He doesn't complain. He just does exactly what he needs to do. He does what Hashem asks him to do. He doesn't talk. The pasuk says, "Tzoar ta'aseh teva." We know that there's a machlokas about the tzoar that Noach is commanded to build. Some say it's a window. Some say it's a precious stone that gave light. We don't hear about so many other details about the construction of the teva and what was inside. Why is there a focus on this specific feature? Why do we care if there was natural light or artificial light? What difference does it make? Perhaps b'derech drush, we could suggest that the Torah is telling us, you have a choice. You could look out the window. You could wonder what's happening somewhere else, what you're missing, how it could be better over there. Or you could figure out how to create light inside the teva that you're in. And that's what I think is so incredible about the Beis HaLevi. Because while on the one hand, it teaches me the power of negativity, how it could bring me down, how it could create an environment that brings others down. On the other hand, if it's true for negative midos, it's true for positive ones. If pointing out what's wrong can spread, think about what pointing out is right can do. We're at a time of year when you could see large groups of birds flying south. Do you ever watch them? Do you ever wonder why they fly in groups? Why don't they just fly alone, a few birds at a time? Researchers have found that flapping their wings together creates an energy that lets them use 25 to 30% less energy. The energy that's created by the other birds and the flapping of their wings lets them soar. That's the energy. That's the positive energy that we can create in a Beis Medrash. That's what we can create in our Beis Medrash. I want to compare two random anecdotes, two things that I witnessed in the first month of yeshiva that, for whatever reason, stood out in my mind and made an impact on me. The first one was in another building, somewhere across the street, and someone, not from this Beis Medrash, I don't know who he was, nobody knows him, pressed the button on the elevator. He discovered that it wasn't working. Okay? Happens. And out loud, he declared, "Well, isn't that lovely? What a great way to start your day. Broken elevator. Great." Out loud. What did he accomplish? It wasn't even Belfer. It made me feel negative. It just added negativity to the surroundings. Compare that with another story. I had the schus with many of you to get to go to Rav Twersky Shlita's shiurim on Hilchos Tshuva after Mincha, every day in Elul. After one of them, a Talmud of ours, I didn't meet him yet. Apologize, I don't know his name. It would embarrass him maybe. But after the shiur, he just out loud, out of a pure sense of uncontrollable excitement, because the shiurim were breathtaking, just said, "I love Elul. This is amazing." Which person do you want to be? Which person do you want to be friends with? Who do you want to spend time with? Which one would make a better husband? Who would make a better Rebbe? Who would make a better employee? I love Elul. The shiur is amazing. What if we all spoke that way about all the good things that we have here? Think of what it does to everybody around you. It creates an energy. My shiur is amazing. My Rebbe is incredible. I love my chavrusa. There are incredible things happening here. There are so many opportunities. There's so many opportunities that I didn't have in my day. Let's talk about them. Let's talk about what's so good. I've seen people here, I see them handling and learning in the Beis Medrash. I don't remember handling like that back in the day. Just talking and learning. It's something that spreads. I see people coming out of shiur, in the hallway, in the elevator, talking about a chiddush. It spreads. Talk about how much you love staying in for Shabbos. Tell your friends, come, Shabbos is amazing. You can learn late Thursday night. You can learn Friday morning. Now you can get pizza for free also. You can learn Motzei Shabbos. Talk it up. Talk about how great it is. Talk about the incredible things that we have here. The Beis HaLevi quotes a medrash. The medrash says, "Vayomer Hashem leNoach, bo ata v'chol beischa al hateva." Then it says, "Ksiv," from the pasuk in Tehillim, "Ta'abed dovrei chazav ish damim umirma yisayev Hashem v'ani berov chastecha avo beisecha." Says the medrash, "Ta'abed dovrei chazav medaber b'dor hamabel v'ani kasher asu kein asisi uma beini leveinam." The Beis HaLevi explains that Noach, Hatzadik, he could have been swept up by the negativity of the Dor HaMabul. Ta'abe Dovrei Kazav, that was the Dor HaMabul. But Noach was lucky. He says, "Kasher asu ken asisi ma beinam levenam beini levenam el shegamaltani tova." Kadosh Baruch Hu did me a tova, says Noach. He saved me from that Dor HaMabul. He saved me from that negativity. He said, "Bo ata v'chol beischa al hateva." He said, "Noach, come inside the teva. V'ani berov chastecha avo beisecha." Noach, come into this pure world. Noach, spread positivity in here. Create a tzohar in here. Create your light. Let it shine. There's work to do in here, Noach. There's no time for lashon maguna in here. At the start of a new zman, come into our Beis Medrash. Come into our teva. We've got so much to build in here. We have so much work to do. Let's leave all of the worries and the tumah and the negativity that the outside world has. Let's leave it outside. They don't belong in here. Let's spread positive energy whenever we can. Let's not look out the window, wondering what's outside. Let's get to work. Let's create our own light in here. Let's build. And with that, we should have a zman of hatzlacha, and we should all be catapulted to greatness with the energy that we can create together.